Um, okay, I started the recording. So what are the applications that we can develop using Python? Any name any few which you remember?
Can we using the scripting to execute some codes like easy to write in the
Yes,
compilation, right?
right. So for kind of a web development or game developments or kind of networking programs or to automate something, or we can develop data analysis applications or artificial intelligence or many machine learning. A lot of places nowadays people are using Python. Okay, please go to the recording and just to revise the recording. Okay, can anyone name few of the features, very important features of Python? And before that, let me ask a very straight question. Is Python is the interpreted language or compiled language?
Interpreted language.
Great. Awesome. I like the response. Okay. Okay. Is Python is platform dependent or independent?
Platform independent.
What is the meaning of platform independent? Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of platform independent?
Python code executes in any platform like Linux or Mac.
Yeah, so we can write a program in one OS and we can run that program in any other OSs also. So we don't need to write a specific code for a specific particular OS. So we can write once and run anywhere. So that's what meaning of Python and platform independent. Okay. So what does interpreter will do? What is the purpose of interpreter? Python interpreter.
It will execute the code line by line.
Yes, it will execute the code line by line, but what it will do by executing line by line?
If any error is occur, the process will stop in that error.
Yes. So if there is, it will keep execute. Yeah. In addition to that, there is one more point. Let me say. In addition to it will, that is the behavior. You both are correct. It will execute line by line and it will check if there is any syntactical error or any mistakes. And if there is any issue, it will break there and it will just show us what is the exact error, right? At what line it is giving an error. But after reading line by line, what it is actually doing. So it is actually trying to convert, our statements or Python code into a machine understandable code. Means it is trying to convert our language, like our code, into a machine understandable code, so that the computer can understand and perform accordingly, respond accordingly. Am I correct, guys? Are we on the same page? Okay, great. So there are some other things also that we have discussed. Like Python has an extensive library and it is very easy and easy to use, and it is a dynamically typed. What is the meaning of dynamically typed? Can anyone answer? Is Python is dynamically typed or statically typed? Come on, respond. It's okay even if it is wrong. It is dynamically typed. What is the meaning of dynamically typed? Sorry, Naveen. Dynamically typed means, yeah, Pawan, go ahead.
We no need to assign previously, sir. At the time we have to assign.
Yeah, let me revise. Yeah, correct. So we don't need to, if you want to store any data into a variable, we don't need to specify the type of it. Automatically, based on the data that you are storing, automatically Python will take care of what is the type of it. So like we have done in Java, we don't need to assign we don't need to specify the type before initializing a value. Automatically Python will take care of the conversion part. Okay, good. Thanks for the response. Next, we'll go to, and we have discussed about the limitations of Python also. What are the limitations of Python, guys? Only there are 2 points we have discussed.
Performance
Performance
bit.
slow.
Yeah, so it is a bit slow compared to other programming languages. What is the reason?
Executes
Because of
line by line.
interpreter.
Yes, it is because of the interpreter and because the interpreter try to execute the code line by line and it is taking a time comparatively. Like other programming languages use compiler. Compiler will take all the code at a time and try to throw everything at a time. So, and we have seen the part execution part practically, right? I hope you are clear there. Come on, please be active in the class and please try to respond. Even if it is not correct, it is okay. I'll try to correct it. Okay, come on. So okay, let's get started for today. What are the Python versions available so far and when it was released? And does Python provides a backward compatibility or not? Let me tell you what I'm trying to talk here. So what is the Python current version that you're using? Python 3.11 something, right? Majorly Python 3 version, right? So, but these are third version, as name recommends, as the number shows. Python 1.0 version as introduced in 1994. Okay, this was the first version of Python and it was introduced in 1994. Jan 1994. Next, after that, Python 2 has come and Python 2 has introduced in October 2000. October 2000 only, exactly. Nobody will ask you these questions in the interview room, guys, but as a programmer and as a Python developer, it is good to have, good to have this knowledge. So that I'll just give it in shortly and then we'll move forward to the technology. Next, the Python 3 currently we are using and Python 3.11, it has come on a minor version, but Python 3 is the major. So Python 3.0 version introduced actually in December 2018. So 8. Sorry, not 18, 2008. So 2008 itself, the Python 3 has come, and after that, they are releasing minor versions. Minor version means after 3.11, 3.10, 3.9, like that. So they are trying to just enhance few things, but major version is Python 3 only currently. So, but why I'm trying to say is, okay, before 2008, people might have used completely Python 2 or Python 1. So, but Python 1, nobody is using. I have not seen any application is using because that is very longer. It is like 20 years back, 23 years back, right? So Python 2, there may be some application they are using Python 2. Okay. The problem here is why I'm trying to say is, for example, tomorrow if you are going to a company and if they have developed a big application using a Python 2, if you are trying to run that application using Python 3, you may see some errors. So the Python has some concern saying that it doesn't provide the backward compatibility to Python 2. So if you have installed Python 3 in your system, and if you're trying to run the Python 2 code, which is already developed in Python 2, then you will not be able to execute it properly. You may see some errors because it won't provide the backward compatibility for the Python 2 syntaxes. Most of them will work, but some of them will not work. There is no guarantee that the code will work. So very, very, very important note that you need to understand. Basically, why I'm just stretching this point is, if you go for any other Java versions or anything, for old versions, it will support. For old versions also, if any latest option comes, mostly it will support old versions also. But Python 3 won't support or won't provide the backward compatibility. Provide backward compatibility to Python 2. That is, there is no guarantee, as I mentioned, there is no guarantee that Python 2 will work. Python 2 code will run in Python 3. Okay, very important note, star note that you need to remember. Otherwise, if you try to attempt to run any code, Python 2 code in Python 3, it might break. So in real time, when you are into the project, so you need to keep this in mind when you're trying to run an application. Okay, fine. Next thing is very important thing. So today's topic, identifiers. Okay, identifiers. What are the identifiers and what are the variables and all we will discuss today. And what are the rules to define identifiers. Identifiers. Okay, what are the identifiers is? So for example, yesterday we have written some code, some program we have written yesterday. What is that program, guys? Sum of two values, right? Sum of two values. What we have done? We have taken two variables and we have kept two variables into. We have kept two values and those two values we have kept into two variables. I'll tell you what is a variable today. Okay. Now I'm just printing their sum a plus b. So what I'm trying to do here, forget about these lines. Okay, we have a dedicated session for working on a math module. But this is a basic code that you need to remember. So a equal to 20 and b equal to 30. So I'm taking two values and I'm trying to perform a sum of two values. So that is my requirement of the program. That is my requirement. So that for that requirement, what I'm trying to do, I have taken two values into and assigned that into two variables. So this left side one we call it as a variables and right side one we call it as a values. Okay, now here a and b are the variables. Okay, so and what I'm trying to do, I have one requirement. Okay, for that requirement I need to have some values, but I cannot directly have values, right? I need to keep those values in some place, or I need to give some reference to that reference to that value. So something like this. So when you're taking some value for your requirement, so this is the place in the memory, and you're trying to store the value. So this is one value, and this is another value. Just a second. Okay, so this is 20 as our program shows, this is 30. So this value I'm trying to store in my code, and I'm just and that will be added into the memory. And what I'm trying to do, if someone want to perform any operations on these values, what they have to do, they don't need to use the values directly. We have to give a name to this value. That name is nothing but our variable. And we technically call it as an identifier also. Okay, so this is a value. That can be any value, guys. This is a b. So there is some value as part of our requirement. We need to take some values and we need to make some operations on that values in future. Means line number 1 and 2, I'm taking a values, and line number 3, what I'm doing here, I'm trying to perform a sum of those two values. How I'm performing, I'm not using the direct values 20 plus 30, but I'm using a plus b, because this 20 plus 20, 30 can change, but my interest is to sum those two values, a plus b. So I'm giving a reference to it, or giving a name to those values. That name is nothing but identifier technically. Okay, in particular, it is a variable. And so if I have to talk in a general terms, okay, we are all humans, right? What is our identity, guys? How someone will identify us? What is our identifier?
By
Meaning,
name.
Our name, yes. So Durga, Sawan, Kasi. So this is what our identifiers, right? Why? We are all human beings. We are all coming from a same category only. But if someone wants to identify us easily, so we need to name ourselves. So that's why we all have some different names, right? So if someone wants to simply call it, then they'll call it. Then they'll call it with our name. So there is no confusion, right? Then they will able to identify properly. So similarly, so we are having different types of values. But if we want to refer those values or we want to perform something, some operation on those values, we need to give a name to that. That name is nothing but identifier, or technically it is a variable. Okay. So a name in Python, program called an identifier. Okay, why I'm saying a name here? That name can be anything. It can be in future, it can be a function name, it can be a variable name, or it can be a module name, it can be a class name also. Okay, so any name that we give to the function or to the class or anything, whatever the name that you are trying to give on your own, that will be treated as a identifier only. It can be class name or function name or variable name. So in our case, it is a variable name. So variable name or a module name also. I'll tell you what is a variable function. Sorry, variable we are trying to learn now. But I'll tell you what is a function name, class name, and all. Future classes it will come. Okay, are we good till now, guys? Is everything clear till now?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, so okay, now when you are giving some name, so there should be some rule, right? So we cannot give any name, right? So just an example, I'm saying, just to make you help you understand better. We are trying. We discussed that any name that we are given to some particular person, that we call it as an identifier. Any name that we are giving to a particular variable or a class name or function name, that we call it as an identifier. Similarly, when we are giving a name to us, name to ourselves, there are in India or in US or some places, they might have some constraints, right, or some logical reason for it. For example, someone will name it as Shrinu or something, or Venki or Venkatesh or something. Why do they name it like that? There are some beliefs for them. What are their beliefs? They will keep some god's name or the forefathers names, like something like that, right? That's tradition is going on in India, right? Okay, that is their basically rules I'm trying to talk about. So when they are trying to give a name to their child, they are checking all these rules. And there is one more rule. They will check numerology. They will check based on their birth date and time. So they will decide which letter they need to start and all, right? Yes or no? Are we all doing that or no? I'm sure most of you know. Okay, so those are the rules that our parents will take into the consideration and give a name to us. Similarly, in Python program, if you want to give a name to anything like an identifier or function or anything, you need to follow some rules to define the identifiers. Otherwise, the Python program will tell you, it will kick out of the program execution. It will tell you, hey, this is not the right rule to follow. You better follow the rules properly, and then I'll execute it properly. So that's what the Python program will say. So it's very important to know what are the rules to identify to create an identifier. Then we don't have any issues. So let's discuss about rules to define identifiers in Python. So we should keep these rules in our mind while we are creating any variable. Okay, I'll make it simple. It is easy if you do 1 or 2 time practice. Okay. Very first rule is, can we give a name? Can the name contains all the characters or not? And if it doesn't contain any character, what can we? The question is, can we have the characters in the name or not? Yes. The allowed characters. Any character is allowed in Python. It can be from A to Z, small a to Z, or you can give a capital A to Z also. Okay, any character is allowed. There is no restriction, guys. Okay, next point. So a name contain the characters, any characters. That's what I mean. Okay, numbers are allowed. Numbers or digits are allowed. Okay, 0 to 9. But there is a problem here. But there is one rule. Okay. But numbers or digits are allowed, but the name should not start with a number. Name shouldn't start with a number. Very important to keep this in mind. Okay. Next rule. Does the special characters are allowed or not? When you're defining a name, can we keep the special characters in that name or not? That is another rule. Special characters are not allowed. Strictly not allowed, guys. Any special characters are not allowed, but underscore is allowed. Only underscore is allowed. Special characters are not allowed. I'll show the I'll show it practically. I'll show the examples practically. Do not worry. Just keep these points in your mind. Special characters are not allowed except underscore. Okay. Next, I'll prove it practically, guys. Every point, every way, every rule, I'll prove it practically. Don't worry. Okay. By mistake, if you are giving any other special characters, it will throw a syntax error. Okay, that I already told, right? It will throw a syntax error. And one more thing, an important thing to keep. Identifiers are case sensitive. Not only identifier, in Python, everything is case sensitive. Identifiers are case sensitive. Okay, what do you mean by case sensitive here? If you are giving a capital A, you need to use capital A only. And if you're using small a, you need to use small a only. Otherwise, it will not treat it as a variable name. So for example, what I'm trying to say here is, let me take another Python file, new Python file, identifiers. Okay, so I'm just taking A equal to 20 and B equal to 30, and I'm printing the sum rate. Okay, and I'm printing the sum. So if I try to run it, we are getting the output called 50. That is fair enough. But instead of A, if I keep A plus B, capital A, will it work? No. Because Python is a case sensitive language. If you are using, if you have defined it as a small a, you need to use it as a small a. If you try to use it as a capital A, then it will not work. And it will not treat it as a variable. It will treat it as a separate variable. Capital A is a separate variable, small a is a separate variable. Okay. Identifiers are case sensitive. And of course, Python itself is a case sensitive, as I said. Case sensitive language, I'm just saying. Okay, so that's what that is another rule. I think we have covered almost all the rules. Identifiers are case sensitive, and one more main important rule is. So there are if you guys remember, there are 33 keywords that I told. Okay, I'll repeat it again anyway. There are 33 predefined keywords. Okay, except those. If you want to create any variable, we should keep something that we should not keep. We should not create any variable with the existing keywords name. let me repeat it, or let me rephrase it some other way. We cannot use the existing keyword as an identifier. There are 33 reserved words or keywords which are already created or defined by Python. So we should not we should not give that name as an identifier. Okay. We can't use reserved words. There are 33 reserved words. Reserved words or keywords. Reserved or keywords as identifiers. That is very, very important rules. I'll tell you what are those keywords or reserved words, or I'll just list down all of them. Okay. And one more rule is there is no length limit, guys. So you can, for example, I'm just giving a name like ABC equal to 20. So you can give like this. How many characters are there? 3 characters. We are giving a name. So you can give n number of characters. There is no limit that you should give the length only this much. But it is recommended to have only a simple, short and sweet name. It is always recommended to have short and sweet name, because using which we are able to understand the program very easily, and we can use that variable name in the next lines very, very easily. Otherwise, we'll get confused and we don't feel it is a variable name and it won't look good, right? So some people will keep the name as very bigger name, like it contains like 4 or 5 names literally. Okay, I'm not saying that bad, but even if you are keeping that name, nobody will call with a bigger name and nobody can call it easily, right? They will simply show, keeping all the name aside, and they will simply call it as Nani or Chinnu or Shetty or something like that. Because so it is always, if you want to use that name or if you want to use this variable somewhere else, it should be simple and easy and meaningful. So we should give a meaningful variable name always. Meaningful as in, so what type of data that you are storing, based on that you need to decide the variable name. For example, I want to store my name. I'll give the variable name as name only, name Kasi Yedumati. If you want to perform something, then you'll simply give it as name, variable name itself name, or you can keep something like the employee name. If you are working for employee related data, then you can keep it as employee name equal to Kasi Yedumati. So this is the variable name here. And how it is looking like, if anyone looks at simply look at this code, they can easily understand, okay, he's trying to use the employee details and he's trying to use the employee name here. They can understand by using a name itself or not. That's the best way of creating a names. We should give us simple and short and meaningful names. Meaningful is very, very important. If you give, if you give A equal to Kasi Yedumati also will work. There is no problem at all. But if someone is trying to read your code, they cannot understand easily. Are you understanding the importance of creating a names properly, folks?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, bro.
Yeah, awesome. There is no, what is the point? There is no limit for length of the variable. But not recommended to use lengthy names. Okay. Prefer to have simple, short and meaningful names. Okay, that's what it is all about. Okay, these I think we have covered pretty much everything. Let me revise and let me show all of them practically. I think this one we have already seen. Okay. First point, any character is allowed. So that we have already seen here, right? Any character is allowed. Yes. A, B, C we have tried and it is allowing, and B we have tried, it is allowing. So if you keep any character, X, Y, Z, anything if you take equal to some 40 or 50, yes, it is working. And if you try to print XYZ, sorry, print XYZ, it will print. There is no problem. So we have, sorry, print A plus B. Okay, I removed here. Huh? That's why. Okay, now fine. So if you see, the XYZ is also printing. The 40 and 50 is printing, right? 50 is coming from the A plus B output and 40 is printing from 60. 40 is printing from XYZ variable. Okay, so similarly, let's try to just to validate other variable, other rules also. Numbers are allowed, but the name should not start with a number. So if you see, what is the meaning of this is ABC 123 equal to some number, some 2023. So you can give a name like this. What is the variable name here, guys? ABC 123 is a variable name. What does the variable name contains? Variable name is containing the characters and it is containing the numbers also. It is a combination of alphabets and numbers, all for numerical variable name that we are giving. Will it allow or not? Yes, it will allow. But the rule is, if it contains, it's saying that numbers or digits are allowed, but the name should not start with a number. Is the name starting with a number? Is it starting with a number?
No, bro.
No.
Character is started.
So it is starting with a character. It is starting with the ABC. So there is no problem. It is starting with the A actually. So there is no issue. So we are still able to work on this variable name. It is not recommended to give like this, but I'm just saying it. I'm just trying to match up the rule here. So 2023 is printing. So there is no issue at all. But if you do 1, 2, 3 ABC or something like 1 ABC, will it work? No. Now that the rule is especially saying that it can contain numbers. That doesn't mean that you should start a variable with a number. So it's not allowed. If you see here, we try to run the program, it will throw an error. Isn't it throwing? It's throwing where it is throwing? It is throwing at 1 here. So 1 is the problem. Okay, we are not supposed to create any variable like this. Next rule. I will do the exercise also, guys. Just follow me. Okay, next. Special characters are not allowed except underscore. If you do what we can do? A percentile. Percentile is a special character, right? Not percentile, anything other. Ampersand. A ampersand equals to something like, I'm just giving 20. Will it work? No. Ampersand is a special character here, so it will not work. So it will throw an error, invalid syntax. It is saying. So, but you can keep a underscore. And one more thing, one more beautiful thing, underscore can be anything. It's not underscore can be anywhere. It can be in the middle, or it can be in the ending, or it can be in the beginning. Not like a number. Underscore has a special meaning here. So underscore can be anywhere. It can be in the beginning, or it can be in the ending, or it can be in the middle also. So if you do A underscore, it will work. Okay, I'm not printing here. There is no syntax error basically. On A underscore, so it is printing 20. So there is no issue with keeping a underscore anywhere. Next thing is, so identifiers are case sensitive, that we have already seen. If you go to the 5th rule, we can't use the reserved words, right? So reserved words. What is the meaning of reserved words, and what are those reserved words? The meaning of reserved words here, Python for future purpose, Python kept some words, for some purposes, for some functionalities. And I'll tell you that will come going forward in coming classes. What is the purpose of each keyword? But we are least bothered about those keywords purpose now. But what are those keywords that we really need to understand? What are the reserved words? So reserved words are some words to represent some meaning or functionality in Python. Okay, we call them as the reserved words, and those are defined by Python itself, and we cannot keep those reserved words as a identifiers anywhere. And every word has a meaning, and every word defines some functionality. Okay. So if you want to get the reserved words, let me tell you one trick here. Keywords. I'm just taking a new Python file. So if you want to get a reserved words, you can do something like this. Import keyword. Keyword is a predefined module. Okay, predefined one, which is already created by Python. We are simply using it. How to use it, what is important, all in future classes it will come. Now you don't bother about it. I'm just trying to print it. Okay, keyword dot KW list, keyword list. I just want to show you what are the list of keywords. That's it. Okay, let me print all this. And I'm just printing all the reserved words of Python. If you see, there are multiple reserved words have come here. If you can closely observe, these are all the reserved words. Okay, so these are the list of reserved words that is defined by Python. So these reserved words, we cannot keep it as a variable. We should not keep this reserved word as an identifier name. And if you observe here, false, none, and true. These two contains one capital letter in the beginning. But if you see other keywords, everything is a small only. False, none, true, and as, asset, async, await, break, class, continue, def, del, elif, else, except, finally, for, from. So just read all of these things one or two times so that you will remember them. You don't need to by heart, guys. You just remember them. And going forward, while you are using some functionality, automatically these keywords will come. We don't need to learn separately, or automatically while you are passing the concepts, automatically will come. Just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, folks, I'm back. Okay, so these are the reserved words. So false, none, true contains one capital letter in the beginning, remaining all small only. All the remaining characters, all the remaining words use a small letters only, small characters only. So these are the reserved words, and any of these reserved words you cannot use as an identifier. So let me take one reserved words here. For example, break. I'm taking a break as a variable name. If you go here, if you take break as a variable name, break equal to 20 or something like this. If you try, break equal to 30. If you're seeing, straight away it is throwing an error. It is showing an error in the PyCharm. If you see, invalid syntax. So you cannot use any reserved word as your identifier name. And you can use something like this, break underscore and all. Break underscore is not a reserved word, right? Break is a reserved word. Break underscore is not a reserved word. So you can use like this, no problem. But not recommended, guys. Don't give like that. I'm just saying technically it will work, but not recommended. People will get confused. Okay. Any other doubts or any other questions till now? Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. So now can we do exercise? I hope everybody got the fair idea. Can we do some exercise here? Let me frame some questions here and just tell me what is valid and what is invalid. Okay. Questions. Which of the following are valid? Okay. Cash equal to 100. I'll just write down and we'll go by one. Um, okay. Can you tell me? So these are all the variables that I'm trying to give. Can someone tell me what is valid and what is invalid from the bottom? Okay, I'll ask him. No, I'll ask not any particular. Okay, first one is valid or invalid?
Valid, sir.
Valid.
No, not valid.
Why not valid?
Equal to is a not there, no, sir. It's a separate character. Equal to something.
Sorry.
Is equal to is a separate character. No. Only
No,
you
no,
can use.
equal to is not a separate character. I'm just trying to assign a value to that. That's it.
Yeah, how? Okay.
First one is valid.
Yeah. So first one is valid. Second one,
Invalid.
Valid.
I need a reason also, guys. Why it is invalid?
Because
Special-
there is a dollar symbol, special character.
Yes, special character is not.
Third one is
Invalid.
invalid.
Valid.
Started with the number.
Third one is invalid. Why?
We
It
can't
is
start.
syntax. We can get syntax error because 10a equal to 2000. So 10 is an integer value. So we can't put integer value first.
Okay, awesome. Next.
This is valid
Okay.
because there is an underscore ending of the alphabets,
Okay.
and it is invalid.
Valid, sir.
Oh, sorry, it's valid. I'm very sorry for that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And
Invalid.
next one is invalid.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Started with the number.
I think it's
This is invalid because it is
Valid.
without keyword.
it's invalid.
Invalid, sir. Keyword.
Why it is
Invalid.
invalid?
Keyword.
Because it's a special keyword.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Great.
Um,
Next. This one.
Valid.
It's
sir.
invalid.
Great. Superb. That's where we landed. Awesome. The people are following. Great. Thanks, folks. Next, I'm just creating one more variable, one underscore ABC. Is it valid or invalid?
It's a
Valid.
valid.
Valid, sir.
Why it is valid?
Yes, sir.
It's
Because
a
started
two
with
underscores,
underscore.
starting and middle.
Yes. So it is
Oh.
containing a underscore. That is valid only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, here the ABC you given two underscores equal to 5600. So can we give it the two underscore here?
Yes. Yes. Correct. That's a good question. Yes. So we can give as many underscores as we want. There is no restrictions like that. If you are saying it is allowed, then we can use it as many times as we want.
Okay.
Yeah. There
Is
is no
there
restriction.
a thing we can give, simply we can give as many we can?
Yes, yes. If it is allowed means we can use any times, any number of times. There is no restriction.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
And in fact, if you give two underscores alone, that will also work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, without giving any name, if you do simply two underscores, that will also work.
Okay. Okay. Mhm.
Okay. So there is no restriction. If it is allowed means it is allowed.
Okay.
But
Thanks.
if someone, yeah. Just a second, Rishika.
Yeah.
If someone trying to access this variable, we can use it. But the problem is nobody will be able to understand this. Underscore is kind of meaningless, right? So it's not recommended. It's not recommended to create a variable like that, but it is allowed. Technically, it is allowed. There is no issue. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Rishika, go ahead. Sorry.
So if we give complexity numbers, like for example, 10i plus 2j, then it is valid or invalid?
It is invalid. You're saying in the other side, and you're saying as a variable name.
It's a variable name. For example, if I give 10J plus 2J.
No, it is not valid. It is invalid.
Cool. Thank
Because
you.
it is technically starting with a number only, right?
Yeah.
It will still fall under the same rules. So it will fail. In the very first rule only, it will fail.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. I want you to keep a few note points in your mind, but that will come in future. But I want you to know it. Identifiers. Let me save this running notes. Otherwise, I'll lose it. Okay. There are two note points here. Based on the underscore, what is the importance of underscore? I told you, right? Underscore has a special meaning here. Let me show that. Note number 1. If identifier starts with underscore symbol, then it indicates that it is private. Private means this concept will come in the OOPS concepts, and we will discuss. We'll dig more on that. But you can just theoretically remember these points for now. If I try to explain you what is private and all, you cannot understand at this moment technically. Simply, if I want private means if you want to share this variable, if you don't want to share this variable to any other Python code, then if you make it underscore, then it will not work. Okay, so just if you want to make it private, then you can make it using underscore. If identifier starts and ends with 2 underscores, okay, then it is a special name. It is defined by, it is language defined. So if you see, I'll explain you, I'll show you some of the things. Let me just showcase. Add. So for every operation, for every mathematical operations, there are some magic methods. Okay, what are the magic method? I mean, there are for every operation, mathematical operation. What are the mathematical operations? Mathematical operations, as I mean, like plus, adding a sum, addition, multiplication. For all these things, we call it as a magical methods. So to perform those operations, there are predefined methods like this. If you want to do addition, underscore add underscore. If you want to do multiplication, underscore mul underscore. So these names are starting with 2 underscores and ending with 2 underscores. If you find these kind of names anywhere in the program, just note, this is a very, very important note. If you find any name, that can be a variable name or a method name or class name, if you find in any program like this, anything that is starting with 2 underscore and ending with 2 underscore, that means that is created by program. So that is created by Python and for a special purpose. That is not created by us. We can create, but the thing is, like, the existing Python code is maintaining that convention. If it is created anything like that, it has a special meaning to it, and it is maintained for a special purpose, and it is language defined special name. Okay, as I mentioned example, I'll take a separate class on this. This is also known as magic methods. Okay, we'll discuss this. Underscore add 2 underscores. So this is how it looks like. Next, point number 3. the importance of underscores I'm saying here. If an underscore starts with 2 underscore, so it means that it is start, if identifier starts with 2 underscores, then it indicates that it is strongly private. I will tell you the difference between strongly private and private. But when it comes to classes and when it comes to modules and all, at that time, if you discuss, that would be better. But I will repeat all these 3 points again. Don't worry. But at this moment, just have an idea. Even if you don't understand the exact meaning programmatically, it's okay. Ignore it. These 2 particular point, don't ignore the entire class, okay? Very, very, very important concept this is. Okay. Next. So we have talked about the reserved words. What we have covered today? We have talked about the reserved words and we have talked about the identifiers. I hope we are good. Let me take the new one today. Let me introduce the data types. Data types is a very, very important concept. I am including a data structures also here. Data types is very, very, very important. So why does the data types will come? So coming to the new concept, data types. Forget about the technical, but by looking at the name, what you are understanding? By looking at the name, what you are trying to understand? Data types. What is the name suggesting? We have a data, and for the data, there may be some types. Okay, at least with some name, we are able to understand this particular thing, right? Yes, that is correct. Okay, when we have a data, so what if someone asks you what is your buy data? What will you say? What do we say? My name, my address, my mobile number, my so-and-so graduation, so-and-so percentage if you want to mention, something like this, simple biodata if you want to ask, or if some your class data or something, anything that if someone asks you, what will you tell? Or let me take some realistic situation here. The Facebook we have seen, right? Creating a Facebook account we have seen in the first class. Create a new account. So if you open creating a new account here, there are multiple data that we are providing. What are the data? First name, last name, mobile number, new password, all these things we are following, and password, and then there is not mobile number here, but there may be some mobile number, date of birth, gender we are having. Okay. The data is in this multiple forms, guys. So if someone asks you what is your name and mobile number and what is your mail ID and all the stuff, my name is Yedumati and mobile number is something like this. And the password, no, not password, nobody will ask password. Then, so what else will give? So if someone asks me what is your percentage in BTech or something like this, if I give 76, 76.3, something like that. Okay. Okay, if someone asks me address and then Ongole AP, India. Okay, this is the basic data that I would like to share with someone else. Okay, but the problem here is, but the thing here is what I'm trying to make a point. This data or any data can be having in a multiple forms. What is the multiple forms here? Is a name and mobile number both are in the same forms? No. Name contains the characters, but the mobile number contains only digits. I hope you are following, guys. Okay, so there is when we having a data, the data is having in a multiple forms. One is it is containing only characters. It is containing only numbers. And it is containing a decimals. And again, it is containing a combination of characters and special characters. Okay, this is what we mean by type of data. There is a different type of data we have when we go for any data, there may be a data can be in a different forms. But how do we define technically this data is in a type? What is the data types for this kind of data? The data type is if anything it is enclosed or if anything that is containing a characters, I'm making a point here. Containing a characters, we treat them as a string. Okay, string data type. STR, we call it as a STR data type. If any data contains only numbers, we call it as a integer data type. Int or number. So integer data type, we call it as. And if any number that contains the points or decimal values, we call that as a float data type. If any data that contains the points, we call them as a float data type. Yeah, as I mentioned, if any data that contains alphanumerics or alphabets, it contains alphabets, then we call it as a string only. Guys, are you able to follow me? Is this make sense for you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. In future, the data might be having a multiple places. If someone wants to give a data, something like this. If someone asks, what are your marks? All your marks. I have marks in 6 subjects, for example. 80 in one subject, 88 in another subject, 99 is another subject, and 92 is in another subject, and 65 is in another subject, and 35 pass mark is in another subject, for example. So if someone wants you to store the data, your marks in something like this, in this form, what is this? It is a multiple numbers at a time. This is what? Only one number at a time. But here, what is the data? The data is in a type of multiple data at a time. Storing a multiple values at a time. This is storing a only one value. Okay. This kind of data, we call it as list. Okay. There are different types, multiple data types. Let me list down what are all the data types that are available in Python. Similarly, based on what type of data that we have in our requirement, we need to decide what data type. So we need to understand what data type it might falls under. Okay. Let me just give us some definition. What is the data type? Data type represents type of data present inside a variable. Are you happy with this line? Okay, so now yesterday we have seen, right? ABC 123 equal to 2023. What is the type of this variable?
Integer.
Integer, because it contains 2023. 2023 is an integer. Okay. It contains 2023. Similarly, so all the variables here we defined as an integers only. But if you want to create other things, we can create it. We'll see all of them now onwards. Okay, so data type represents the type of data present inside a variable. Okay, but most interestingly, like we discussed yesterday, in Python, we are least bothered about it. We don't really care about it. Okay, because Python, we have a Python, so Python will take care of it. In Python, we are not required to specify the type. We should care about it, but the thing is, we don't need to specify it. I'm sorry, I'm just correcting my statement. We should care about it, but we should not specify it. Specify the type explicitly. Based on value, automatically type will be decided. Okay, that is what we call it as a dynamically typed. Okay, Okay, so let me list down the list of data types that we have. Python contains the following inbuilt data types. Okay, we'll just list down today. Tomorrow onwards, we will discuss about everything, each and everything in a very deep. Int, float, complex, boolean, string, bytes, byte array, range, list, set, tuple, frozen set. Just let me just scroll it up. Frozen set, dict, and none. So these are the list of data types that are available in Python. These are very important to know. And I will tell you, we have seen some forms here, right? Only 3-4 forms, like string, integer, float only we have seen, and list we have seen. Where we can use tuple, where we can use set, where we can use bytes array, where we can use bytes and boolean, complex, all these things we are going to discuss each and everything in detail. Okay. Okay, let me talk about at least int or float today. So we still have 20 more minutes. I'll just take last 10 minutes as a doubts or anything, but we still have 10 more minutes, right? So let's discuss about integer. Int data type. Okay, where do we go for integer data type? We can use integer data type just to represent the numbers, only numbers. It doesn't contain float values. We can call it as mathematically whole numbers. We can use int data type to represent whole numbers or natural numbers. Natural numbers or whole numbers both are same, right? Okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. You can go for anything. So example, a equal to 12, b equal to 90,000. So these are all comes under a natural numbers only. If you want to represent a data like this, that data type will be treated as an integer only. So let me take a separate Python class for the data type, Python file for data types. So I'll keep all these programs in GitHub, guys. I'll push all this code in GitHub and I'll share the GitHub link to you so that in future, whenever you're going for revision or anything, you can simply access it and go through all the concepts line by line. Okay, that would be easy for you to maintain. I'll just push it in the GitHub and I'll also take the GitHub class also separately in the next week, at the beginning of the next week. And that is very important real-time tool. Don't worry about taking the class notes and doing this. Just practice it. But I'll just share each and every line that I write and show in the class. I'll just push it to the GitHub and I'll share that link to you and make it public and anybody can access it. Okay, but material I'll just give access only for few people. And GitHub also I'll give access for only the people who have registered and mail ID, given your mail ID. Okay, next. Yeah, so if you're talking about integer data type, so see, I'm just commenting it. I'll just tell you what is this hash mark. Okay. Now a equal to 20, b equal to 90,000 I have taken. So what are these two variables? Two variables are containing a numerical values, whole numbers. If you want to check if they are treating it as an integer or not, then I told you yesterday. What is that? Type function. If you want to check the type of variable, type inside bracket, you need to give the variable name. Type of A. If you see the type of A, what is the type of A? Integer. Okay. We are not specifying it is int or string. Automatically, Python is taking care of, assigning that to that particular data type. Okay. Type is a function. Just make a note that also. Type. It is a predefined function. To check the type of variable. Okay. Next thing. And that's it about int. We don't have many things to represent int, but inside int also there are multiple forms. Why the count is increasing while we are finishing the class? Not sure. The people are just woke up right now. Okay. Never mind. Please join the class on time, guys, so that you don't miss anything, and you'll follow and you'll enjoy it. Okay. Integer number contains multiple forms. So we can represent the int values in the multiple forms. Mathematically, if you see, I don't know how many of you remember this. I'm sure you might have remembered. We can represent int values in multiple forms. What are those forms, How many of you remember this? Decimal form, octal form, hexadecimal form, fourth one, binary form. Okay. Have you remember all these things? In
Yes.
maths,
Yes.
folks. Yes. So in integer can be represented in these forms. Inside integer, these are four more subcategories I'm trying to say. Inside integer data type, these are four more subcategories. Okay, let's talk about each one of them. One, decimal form. Decimal form is nothing but what? It contains any number that contains base 10. Base 10 means what? The values or the number that should contains the value digits from 0 to 9. Am I correct, guys?
Yes, sir.
The allowed digits are 0 to 9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If any number that contains from 0 to 9, that will be by default treated as a decimal form only. Decimal form is nothing but a natural whole numbers. So this is nothing but decimal form only. Example, a equal to 20 or something, anything you can take. Any normal number you can take, that is a decimal form. So there is nothing much to discuss on this decimal form, but we have already seen that practically, right? There is another binary form. Let me talk about the binary form. Binary form. Binary form, base, how much? Base
Zeros
2.
and ones.
Yes, binary form contains the base 2. What are those two? 0 and 1. The allowed digits are 0 and 1. Okay, if any number that contains only 0 and 1, that should be treated as a binary form. But if you want to represent into a programmatical form, what we should do is we should prefix with 0b or prefix with 0 small b or 0 capital B. That is very, very important. Literal value should be, literal is nothing but this one, guys. After equal to whatever is there, we call it as a literal. Technical language. This value we call it as a literal, and this we call it as a variable. Okay, the literal value should be prefixed. Prefix means starting with, prefixed with 0b or 0 capital B. So if any value that is containing or starting from 0 small b or 0 capital B, we call it as a binary value. Let me take an example. Example A equal to 0b 1010. Any number you can take, 0b 1111, or B equal to 0 capital B 0101. If you take 0102 or any other value, it will not accept. If you are specifying 0b before, means it means that you are trying to access, you are trying to give a binary value. So binary value should be what? It contains 0, 1, 0 and 1 only. Okay. Okay, we are having only 9 minutes left. So tomorrow we'll continue, guys. I'll just stop it here because we have a very, very good concept or good logic to convert this value into a normal form. So 1111 means what? Is 8421. 8421 is nothing but 12, 14 and 15. So this value is nothing but it will give a 15 output. How it will give is a 15 and all. Tomorrow I'll explain properly. Okay. Okay, I'm just pausing here. I'm just stopping here. Do we have any questions or doubts so far?